Reasons for yield differences between bonds. Now, other things remaining identical, any of the factors mentioned in this page can lead to differences in yields. For example, currency. Let's say there are two bonds, one with a currency as rupees, another with a currency as INR. Just the difference in currency can result in differences in the yields of the bond because of exchange rate differences, because of that is expected inflation rate differences. Because of all these factors, there can be difference in the yields of two otherwise identical bonds but varying in currency. Let's say there are two otherwise identical bonds. One is having a credit rating of very high AAA status, and there is another bond which is having everything identical: currency, liquidity, tax status, periodicity, time to maturity, everything is same, but the credit rating is B. Here there will be a disparity in the yield. The bond usually with the higher credit rating will have lower yield. Yield is generally inversely related to credit rating. Other factors remaining same. Liquidity. Let's say there is a government on the run bond, right? That is the most recent released bond and a government bond. This bond will have very high liquidity. On the other hand, some high yield, high risk bond will have much lower liquidity. Taxation can vary depending on the issuer of the bond, right? A government bond may be taxed in one way, a corporate bond may be taxed in another way. Even corporate bonds which are varying in terms of industries can be taxed in different ways. So that is also a reason for the differences in yields of different bonds only in terms of tax status, even if other factors remain identical. Periodicity. Let's say a bond is a quarterly coupon paying bond and another bond is a semi-annual coupon paying bond. Even if all the other factors are identical for these two bonds, the yield will vary just because of these two factors. Just because of periodicity differences, the yield can vary. Let's say a bond has 3 years to maturity and another bond has 5 years to maturity. Now, even if the periodicity, tax status, liquidity, credit risk, currency, every other factor is identical, just because of this one factor, that one bond is maturing in 3 years and the other bond is maturing in 5 years, there will be differences in yield. Now, the yield to maturity versus the time to maturity curve is a matter of study. So this is called a yield to maturity curve. Let's say the time to maturity is plotted on the horizontal axis and the yield to maturity is plotted on the vertical axis, right? This can be 1 year, 5 year, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, like that. And the curve can look like something like this. So as the time to maturity increases, in this case, the yield to maturity is also increasing. And at the end, in the longer terms, it may flatten out in the example that we have taken. This is also called the term structure or the maturity structure.